Well, welcome back to Beyond Belief. I'm George Noory, Larry Dean Hunter, our special investigative guest, as we talk about Egypt and the pyramids. And of course, this controversy over just how old they are. Many people say 5,000 years old. Some people say 10. They push it. Larry Dean Hunter says the pyramids could be 125 million years old. That's a big difference, Mr. Hunter.
Sure is. It's a paradigm shift.
That different, and you may be right. You may be right, because I think the Egyptologists who have said 5,000 years or 10,000, Robert Schrock was able to say, hey, look, there was water there at least 10,000 years ago. You can see the erosion on the Sphinx, for example. But you take this way, way back. What are some of the examples of evidence that lead you to believe that they could be 125 million years old?
The fossils that are found on the Giza Plateau, seashells, saltwater base, hard in the deserts, the dolphin bones, petrified whale bones out in the western deserts, 45 million years old.
Amazing.
This is all the ocean that was on top of the ruins.
They just, now where'd the water come from? Just from the ocean, just kept coming up higher and higher? What happened? What do you think happened to the planet then?
Well, through the research, I find that the best solution to understand all of it is to go back to Noah and then follow, if there was such a person with a boat, if it's found, where is it located, then from that, use that as a reference point.
Sure.
And rebuild it from there.
Larry, there's an ongoing controversy over who built these things. You know, you talk to Zahi Hawass, and Zahi will say, these were made by Egyptians 5,000 years ago. Now, others say, it's impossible, that we don't even have equipment today that could lift the tonnage of these blocks. Somebody had some technology a long, long time ago. What was the technology, and who do you think made these things?
Well, the technology, to me, based on what I've observed, is cement. But it's a very, very sophisticated cement or aggregate by these coins that are, it's like earthquake-proof stone. You know, where you can have them, and every one of the megaliths around the world have the same kind of joints, even the same patterns of structure found in them. So the knowledge is a prehistory to anything we know. And we've been trying to use modern interpretations for something that we only figured they could carve it. We never suspected, at least America 200 years rediscovering cement, that they could have poured them as well. So if you look at it from that level, it isn't such a Herculean task. It's just a form, mold, pour, boom, and from the beginning you know the blueprint, and it works every time in the construction technique. So if you keep it to that simple level, you don't require huge cranes, you don't require levitation. And if you go for the center of the pyramid and you put it out in cement and pour the water, you know, you can build it layer by layer like we do with a crane from the center out. And I don't see it such amazing, oh, you need ETs to do this. I don't. I think that you just had to have the knowledge of what it was you were doing. And they fully understood the universe, our motions, and so that's why the buildings are expressing gravitational laws. And the technology of building it is really, that's the easy part. It's, to me, the amazing part is how they knew all this, you know, and that's where I, as an inventor...
Did somebody teach them that, or what?
Well, because the philosophy that comes is that it's a universal knowledge. Any planet orbiting a sun, you can take its orbital data and reduce it down and build a pyramid, and it will process sunlight. That's what it's about.
Now, looking at this map for a moment, let's bring in the flood. Are the pyramids totally covered? Do you merely just see the tips of the pyramids? How high up is that water?
It depends. Well, first, from flood, 6,501, the bow of the what's being discovered or described as the boat of Noah. So I had to see, and I was in Egypt here in November, and I was on the backside of the Sphinx showing people the seashells on the temple itself. And I was describing that in the time that this was here, the water, not necessarily this because there's a certain level, 150 feet, but Noah would put 6,000 feet of water directly over your head. And I'm talking to a woman like this. Imagine a mile of water over you.
Yeah.
Here in Denver,
ocean size.
we are about a mile high.
Yeah.
We still need more water for the boat of Noah. This whole area was underwater as well at the time that boat is landing on that spot. So from there, it's a matter of what did you see? Well, you didn't see that pyramid until it got to 485 feet.
So this was way underwater.
And then you would see it first, you would see a little bit when it's at 600 feet, then it would be 200 feet, and then it goes on down. And during that time, 200, the Nile Delta is underwater.
Right.
But so you would have different times that you would see, and imagine if you're just seeing the tip, how many millions of years? If the whales are synonymous with 200 feet, you still got this much. Who is 45 million years? Who's seeing this? So then you have to go to Abydos and see the hills that are 900 feet to see the civilization that's up here. This is another field that I've gone into is moved to Abydos. But that's what you would have to kind of, in your timeline of receding water, see it merging, coming up, and then civilization encroaching back on and introducing mud structures.
Could that happen again?
Well, yes and no. I think the second time where it says that the Earth will encounter something, we're looking at Planet X coming in, we're looking at a strange time, but I think it's a lot of meteorites that are going to come in with this next wave that's similar to the destruction in Noah's time. It's coming again.
There seems to be pyramids all over this planet. Are they similar? What you find in Bosnia, what you find in China, what you find in...
All right, look at Bosnia. How much mud is on top of them?
Yeah, lots.
Exactly. And they were buried. But now you've got them rediscovering them in Egypt now by satellites, and there's more and more and more. Maybe 10% of what's known, 90% we don't know yet. And because it's still under the sands of time, mud, sediment, the geology of it all. But you've got to break it from 6,000 years, Khufu, Khafre, and this, to see the bigger picture. And that's what I'm here to help.
Let me ask you some of the material that you brought for us. Here is a structure that's weird. I mean, this is obviously made, poured.
That's the way I interpret it, not carved.
What do you think this is?
Well,
there's a hole in here, too.
If you go through the plateau, you'll find statues that have this in the hands. You haven't been there yet, and I'd love to take you and show you these things personally. But this piece here, it was an artist, Said Amin Fayed. He had it in his collection of things, and I always wanted it, and I actually asked him for it one time. He gave it to me. But this is an example of the pour device that's, as they would pressurize it, it would make the statues, and it would make the walls, because you see it everywhere. But this is my best example of pouring, because you go from a molded form right into a material. Because if you turn it around, there's no carving on that rock.
No.
And it is composed of the aggregate that you see here on this table. But what you don't see is the statue that it made or what was behind it. This is just a piece of it. So when you get into these things, they didn't carve all those little hieroglyphs flat on 90 degrees, perfectly depth, and not anybody make a mistake. But if it's molded, like today we see freeways being built where they put the pattern in the cement and then take it down, it's palm trees, and and you would think, oh wow, the Americans, look, they're carving it. No, you just have to look at the old technology simply. What's the simplest method? Pour it. And why can't we understand that? Why does it have to require a Herculean? I mean, the chisel pile of rubble would be greater than the pyramid itself.
Right. Do you think the entire pyramid was poured?
Yes, I do. Granite, basalt, everything up there. I mean, we're pouring synthetic granite today. Why couldn't they? And I know from my experience in the pause of the Sphinx, going back in the Stela, if you go down where it's been saturated a lot, I've never seen granite crumble. But that granite crumbles. You can just touch it and it just crumbles. And granite doesn't do that unless it's synthetic. So that whole motif, if you just take it away from cutting and dragging and carving into molding and pouring, you'll find you don't need alien technology at all.
Let's do a little demonstration on this glass pyramid.
The basis of my patent is to collect sunlight. And this device, the Great Pyramid, as it exists today, is the best example of how to do that in the world. This is the summer sun. You
Okay.
are the sunrise on summer solstice because of your angle.
I've been told that.
All right, and I am the sunset on that same day. But what we do is we track the sun off the pyramid, and when you come up on summer solstice, you will find this pattern
that's
of light
amazing.
that is every year on June 21st. You will have this same pattern at 12 o'clock
And they would
noon.
see that there live.
But
right?
not only see it, they would be collecting this light and returning it back to the apex as the power source of the city
Solar
of the ancient
energy?
time. Yes. So now as the sun would move on over and set these beams, what we would say is this is at 12 o'clock. Then at 1 o'clock, he's over here. And then, so we are moving our mirrors in this fashion to send the light here. In the morning, they're over here. Noon, afternoon.
It's like a clock.
It is a reverse of the motion of the sun. Angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. This was the reason I went through the patent process, was to document and patent all of this so that mankind could rediscover and use this as the means to power this planet.
So this was carefully thought out.
Nothingness into something, whoever did this was an incredible genius. I've been impressed by the knowledge of this more than anything that I could ever have experienced in life.
A long time ago, the pyramids were smooth too, weren't they?
Yeah, what we're seeing today is all of the limestone was removed, except on the north side, you have the original, some of them.
Yeah.
Now, imagine it covered with that. That's what gave you the reflectiveness, all right? But today, because they use it at a quarry, you don't see that.
It also had a gold dome, didn't it?
No, this is what they wanted to put up at the top. The best I can get out of is Sir Massapero in the 20s, and Peter Tompkins' book shows a truncated pyramid with a ball on the top. That, to me, is what sits in the top, because the truncation is 364 inches.
Was it an energy ball?
I think that when that light came back in, they then bent them and sent it down into the pyramid. And then from there,
They used the energy.
they used the energy, maybe through Alcime and over to Heliopolis, and distributed around the world using the obelisks that are in that area. I want everybody now to see this knowledge. And the patents are expired, but I tell you, for the listener, get the patent and build it yourself. You'll infringe on no one, and you will have all the power you need from the sun.
Great mysteries of the universe, Larry.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching this edition of Beyond Belief as we try to dive deep into the mysteries of the pyramids of Giza.